Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Today we're talking about some running backs that we need to go out and make a trade for right now. And we actually got this from a viewer, somebody who left a comment on a video just the other day. Jonathan Turner left us this comment right here, and he says, hey, future video request, mid-season trade targets for rest of season, kind of like a buy low video with more focus on upcoming schedules for teams that have had some tougher early schedules. And so you know what? That's kind of what we're going to be talking about here today. But the deal with running backs is this. A lot of people who have the stud running backs, they're not going to make a trade because of bye weeks and injuries. The options are limited right now. So you have to try to find those guys that may not be as sexy, may not be super expensive, but have that potential second half of the season to do something for your fantasy roster. You can't go to the Zeke Elliott owner and try to send him some BS trade. Unless he's an idiot, he's not going to take it, right? There's not a lot of trade opportunities out there for stud running backs because they're so few and far between. So we're talking about 5 guys we're going to go ahead and try to make an offer for here today. Before I get into these 5 names, just a quick reminder, our October giveaway is almost up. If you have yet to sign up for Prize Picks, there's a link down below. Either download the app, head over to the website, and create a new account, use the referral code Headliners, and make your initial $20 deposit. We'll match your deposit all the way up to $100. Plus, you get entered into this huge bundle giveaway, a signed CMC jersey, a mystery pylon from Pristine Auction, a Manscaped Perfect Package 4.0, and a $50 Fanatics gift card for somebody who signs up for Prize Picks here in the month of October. If you've already signed up throughout the year, you're already entered. But looking forward to giving that away here in just a few days, right around the corner, right around Halloween. I mean, that's why I haven't really shaved yet. One of my costumes ideas, they require some facial hair. So I don't know if I'm going to do that one or not, but I had to start growing just in case. In case you're wondering, wow, is Jake letting himself go even more? No, I'm not. This is kind of somewhat planned. Anyway, let's get into 5 running backs here we should try to make a midseason trade for right now. First one going to be Michael Carter of the New York Jets. And I literally heard you. Like, that was weird. As soon as I said the running back of the Jets, you're like, I don't want the running back of the Jets. But just listen for a second. Michael Carter is currently running back 46 overall. His snap percentage, though, has increased each of the last 4 games he's played. And he just played a season high in snaps just last week in week 7 with 47. We now know Zach Wilson is injured, so maybe there's a little bit more reliancy on the running game to take some of the pressure off the passing game there. And he's really not facing stacked boxes very often. He's only seen them on 8.5% of his carries thus far. Now, he's also coming off a season high in targets and receptions with 9 targets and 8 receptions. That is key to me because he could be somebody that's going to be checked down to a lot here with a new quarterback under center until Zach Wilson can come back. Now, he's scored at least 10 fantasy points in 3 straight games and has a decent upcoming schedule against the likes of Cincinnati, Miami twice, Houston, Philadelphia, and Jacksonville. I get it. Michael Carter and the Jets, they're not sexy, but if you're looking for some bench depth, he's somebody you can go after who's somewhat cheap because we haven't seen a huge ceiling from him yet, but I do expect that ceiling to increase as the season progresses. So he's definitely a name that if you can get him thrown into a trade, I'm considering here in the midseason. What about another rookie? What about Javonte Williams of the Denver Broncos? Now, for him, his window is slamming shut quickly. If you're going to make a move for Javonte Williams, it has to be super quick because he's starting to gain some momentum. He has equal touches with Melvin Gordon now over the last 4 games. Each of them have had 45 touches apiece. Now, Javonte Williams still only currently running back 33 overall, but what about Denver? What do we know about the games in Denver as the season progresses? They get colder, and they rely a little bit more on the running game. That is a benefit to the backs there in Denver. Plus, he's really starting to gain traction in the passing game. Just last week, in week 7, he hauled in 7 targets. Now, as of right this second, he is top 15 among all running backs in the NFL in evaded tackles with 27, yards created per touch with 3.56, goal line carries with 3, and light front carries with 74%. That means 74% of his carries, he's facing a light front there against the defense. That is exactly what we want from running backs that we want to start in fantasy football. Plus, great upcoming schedules. He goes against the Washington football team, Dallas, Philadelphia, the Chargers, Chiefs, Lions, Bengals, all teams that you can run on thus far here in 2021. Javonte Williams, we've talked about him for weeks on this channel. He's been compared to like a diet version of Nick Chubb. Now, obviously, Melvin Gordon hasn't played bad, and that's kind of what's holding him back some, but as the season progresses, it's another rookie. And as the season goes on, most of the time in the NFL, rookie running backs get more and more volume as the season goes on. They're working them into the offense, working them into the offensive play calling, and Javonte Williams is going to be a stud. At one point, it will not surprise me if Javonte Williams is not a top 12 pick in fantasy football overall once this backfield is solely his. So he's definitely a guy I'm going after right now if I can get him. What about another running back? This guy, not a rookie, but it's DIllon of the Green Bay Packers. And it's a perfect time to buy DIllon because he's coming off a game in which he was barely used, and you know the owner's a little bit frustrated. This last week, he only played in 13 snaps and had 2 fumbles, only one in which he lost, but still was not a good game whatsoever, and his value is taking a hit in fantasy football. However, before this last game, he had had 11 plus touches in each of his last 3 games. Plus, he's capable of huge volume in this offense. We've seen him shoulder the load at times before. He's definitely a guy that can handle 20 plus touches a week if needed. Plus, he could have weekly flex potential down the stretch of the season. Could you imagine if anything were to happen to Aaron Jones in Green Bay? The volume and production that we could see from DIllon could be league winning, and right now you can basically get him thrown into a trade for hardly anything, right? They got some cold weather games coming up in Green Bay as well. We've seen DIllon do it before in this offense. He's somebody who you don't have to pay hardly anything for. You can probably get him thrown into a trade at this point coming off of week 7, and he's definitely a guy that you can stash on your bench. Are you going to trade for him and immediately start him next week? No, probably not. That's not what we're doing with a lot of these guys. We're holding on and hoping that they hit second half of the season so we can reap the rewards and ride them down the stretch. Same thing goes here for DIllon. Definitely another trade target out there. Next guy, what about Kenyan Drake of now the Las Vegas Raiders? Now, Drake is currently running back 42 overall. However, he's excelled in both games since John Gruden has been gone. Have you noticed that? Back-to-back games now with a touchdown. In fact, he scored 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. And it's really his pass-catching ability here over the last couple weeks, which is catapulting him in production. As of right now, he's top 10 in the NFL among all running backs in receiving yards, yards per reception, yards per route run, yards per touch, and yards created per touch. We've seen this guy be the man in an offense before, right? We've seen him in Arizona the past couple seasons go out there and put up solid numbers on a weekly basis. And as of right now, Josh Jacobs is already banged up with a chest contusion. Not that that's going to make him miss a whole lot of time, but we know that in the past, Josh Jacobs has a tendency to be banged up, consistently with something, minor things all the time. That could just open up the opportunity for Kenyan Drake, allow you to get somebody who's on the rise right now, who really doesn't have that sexiness surrounding him, and you can throw him on the bottom of your bench, and if anything happens to Josh Jacobs, or they continue to utilize him like this in the passing game, plus we know Darren Waller's banged up too, right? So Kenyan Drake, definitely another guy that if you can get thrown into a trade, I'm going after. Last guy here, and I get it. I'm going to say the name, and y'all going to be like, Bo, I ain't going after this guy. But just hear me out for a second. It's Antonio Gibson of the Washington football team. Now, I know perception on this guy is he's had a horrible season, right? And he has. He has definitely underperformed and been banged up for most of it. But as of right now, he's currently running back 16 overall. Now, he's not sexy. A lot of people want to give up on this guy, but you could never get him any cheaper than you can get him right now just to stash him to see what happens, right? A lot of times you can kind of look at bye weeks for a team and kind of circle them as, hey, if I have a player that's banged up, usually after the bye week is when they have an opportunity to kind of get back on track. Well, the Washington bye week is coming up in week 9, and hopefully by week 10, he's raring to go for a great, arguably the best second half schedule of any running back out there, where he plays the likes of Seattle, Vegas, Dallas twice, Philadelphia twice. I mean, he's still top 12 among all running backs in the NFL in carries with 14.8 per game, touchdowns with 4, yards per reception with 10, and evaded tackles with 42. Now, he hasn't had a game yet this season with less than 12 touches, but we know we've been disappointed due to these nagging injuries we've seen the last couple weeks. Circle that bye week. Try to buy him low, stash him on your bench, because you never know, he could be somebody who leads people to championships, kind of like we saw from Kenyan Drake a few years ago, right? When he went to the Arizona Cardinals and down the stretch was just on an absolute tear. Kind of something we could see from Antonio Gibson, and you're not having to pay a whole lot to find out and see if it works. But those are 5 guys that I'm kind of paying attention to here second half of the season. Like I said, I'd love to make a video and say, hey, go out and get Austin Eckler, go out and get Jonathan Taylor, go out and get Ezekiel Elliott. But let's be realistic here. A lot of videos will be out there like that, but there's not a lot of owners that are going to part ways with those guys. And if they do, you're going to have to give up the entire core of your team to get them and really gain nothing. Sure, the points you gain in the running back column are great, but you losing everything in either quarterback or wide receiver or tight end, it's just going to cancel them out. And it really isn't benefiting your overall team. We have to try to find those guys who aren't sexy, who are on the verge of helping us second half of the season. And that's what this video is about right here. If you could do me a favor, hit the like button for extra videos in a week. Love doing those. I appreciate the comment from Jonathan. If you have future video ideas, you can always throw them down below in the comment section. I can't promise we will do every single one of them, but we will do our best to make sure that we touch on all the content that you're looking for out there so you have everything you need to be successful. Don't forget to get into that October giveaway through Prize Picks, link down below in the description. But for now, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week, and we'll talk to you later.